Take a breath. By the best estimates, around 1 in every 5 of them was made by an organism you have almost certainly never seen. A single cell, smaller than the width of a hair, that lives in the sunlit surface of the ocean inside a box of glass. There are uncountable numbers of them adrift in the world's water right now, and between them they run a fifth of the planet's photosynthesis. They are the diatoms, and they are the most consequential living thing most people have never heard of. A diatom is a single-celled alga, and its defining feature is its shell, the frustule, which it builds not from chalk, like the coccolithophore of an earlier episode, but from silica, glass drawn molecule by molecule out of seawater. The shell comes in 2 halves, one fitting over the other like the base and lid of a Petri dish, the larger valve capping the smaller. And the shells are not plain. Their surfaces are perforated with rows of pores in patterns so fine, so regular, and so intricate that microscopists once used them to test the quality of their lenses, and engineers now study them as natural nanotechnology. There are tens of thousands of species, and they sort broadly into 2 shapes: the radial, wheel-like centric diatoms that drift in open water, and the elongated, boat or needle-shaped pennate diatoms that live along the bottom. Living inside a rigid glass box creates one beautiful problem, and the diatom's solution is the strangest thing about it. When the cell divides, each daughter keeps one of the 2 parental valves and grows a new one, but the new valve forms inside the old, so it is slightly smaller. Do that generation after generation, and the lineage literally shrinks, each division producing cells a little tinier than the last, until they approach a lower limit. The reset is sexual. At the small end, diatoms reproduce in a way that casts off the glass entirely and forms a naked expanding cell, an oxospore, which swells back to full size and starts the countdown again. A diatom population is, in a sense, always running down a clock written into the geometry of its own shell. The radial shape of the open water species is doing a job too. A cell in the sunlit zone must stay near the surface or sink into the dark and starve, and the wheel-like form maximizes surface area against mass, slowing the fall, a glass parachute. Kept aloft in the light, the diatom photosynthesizes, and here the microscopic becomes planetary. Marine phytoplankton as a whole carry out roughly half of all the photosynthesis on Earth, as much as every forest, grassland, and crop on land combined, and diatoms are the largest single contributor to that half, the source of something like a fifth of the oxygen the planet produces. The detail that a microbe grows a glass box becomes, multiplied across the world ocean, one of the central facts of the biosphere. And the glass keeps working after the cell dies. When a diatom dies, its frustule sinks, and in doing so it carries the carbon the cell had fixed down toward the deep, one strand of the biological pump that moves carbon from the surface into long storage below. Where the shells accumulate on the seafloor or on the beds of old lakes, they compact over time into diatomite, diatomaceous earth, a soft pale rock that is nothing but the glass skeletons of long-dead diatoms, mined today for filters and fine abrasives. And in at least one place that rock has a second life. The dustiest spot on Earth, the dry floor of Lake Megachad, is a bed of diatomite, and the dust that lifts from it and crosses the Atlantic to fertilize the Amazon is, grain for grain, the shells of diatoms that died in an African lake. The cell that breathes for the ocean also, in the end, feeds a forest. The Victorians, who could not get enough of them, arranged diatom shells by hand under their microscopes into mandalas and mottos, glass dust composed into art, a fitting tribute to a thing that is, at once, a jewel, a machine, and a quiet engine of the living world. Look at the sunlit surface of any sea. It appears empty. It is, in fact, crowded with glass, uncountable transparent boxes, each holding a cell, each turning sunlight and water into the air the rest of the planet breathes.